back to the channel, everybody. I'm your host, eeFoGee, and today we're going to be taking a look at something different here on the channel. It's not what we've normally become used to, which is kind of the Steam Deck videos and me behind in the gloves and all that stuff and not really on camera. But this is how the channel essentially started out, was me kind of focusing on games and really looking at like what makes up a game and a developer and things like that, more industry insights. And normally we don't showcase games that are unfinished, right? Usually at the bare minimum level, it's a demo. Kind of normally it might be the early access version. And then I guess beyond that, you would see the full game and we're just testing it on the Steam Deck and showcasing it that way. That's going to be a little bit different moving forward. Now, not drastically. You're still going to get all the same content you do. I mean, we do daily videos here. I go through those, create those, and then put them up every day, usually 2 to 3 times a day. So you're not going to miss out on that. That's still going to be the main focus of the channel. But seeing that we're coming to this 5,000 sub milestone, I'm not normally one to kind of showcase off or count things like that, but it is a good point, I think, to do something new or to add something new into the channel and say, hey, thank you everybody for growing this with me. And hey, here's a new way that we're going to showcase stuff, or something new that I'm going to bring to the table for you, the viewers, right? In that sense. So hopefully you like this. Hopefully we can do more of this and start to talk more with developers and partners as we go forward. Let's jump in and take a look at the game, and then I'll talk a little bit more about it as we go through, and just some finer points that I've noticed and things that we can look forward to. So take a look at the footage. Okay, so taking our first look at Kristala from Astral Clocktower Studios, I think you get the general sense of what we're dealing with. We're dealing with like a race of cat people, the Rock Saska, and they are in this dark fantasy style world that's kind of like an action RPG. It's a genre that's very similarly tied to Dark Souls, or a look and feel tied to Dark Souls or Souls-like type games. So you can get the initial gist of where Astral Clocktower Studios is going. They've built a very nice character design, very nice looking cat character as the hero. Now, I didn't get to choose what my character looked like, but that's only because we're in a vertical slice. Again, if nobody is aware of what a vertical slice is essentially a game that would be a demo, essentially, that would be shown to investors or publishers in hopes that they would kick in money and take on the rights to be able to publish the game, to help with development and finalizing all the things that go into the work, and even better, more capable features or art assets or whatever it could be. They're just looking for some kind of ingestion of funds to be able to support the game even further. So you get the idea that most of the components are going to be there, but not everything, not the entire story. This is not the entire world. This may not even be a world that they use. Most likely they'll use these assets or some kind of part of this demo, but I mean, in general, it doesn't have to be. It can just be something completely unique that shows more of the mechanics, the combat, everything that goes in, the arts, the engine that it's running on, which here it's Unreal 5. If you've never taken a look at that, that's really Epic's latest demo or development tool. And I believe what the game originally started in was Unreal 4, and then they switched over to development in Unreal 5. So they're getting a lot of benefits, a lot of bonuses that they may not have had access to. I know that there's some efficiencies that Unreal 5 has that Unreal 4 did not have. So you're getting a little bit of those benefits, and you can tell by the quality of the game just at the beginning here, and again, very much in a vertical slice, that they're taking care, they're building this world, this realm that you're going to be playing in. But you can get the sense like, okay, there's some components that look Souls-like, right? Like back at the beginning there, you had what I'll call their fountain or bonfire, a bonfire from like in Souls, where you would be able to die and then come and return back to, or you could reset the area and gain all your different health vials back, or be able to upgrade your character. So they're using that in a very similar way. In terms of the character design, you can see the cat like creature, individual, person, race, whatever you'd want to look at, that model looks really good. You can see where a lot of time and effort was put into in the model, because the movements that when we were just sitting there kind of looking at it, the cat was making like those twitchy movements like cats do when they're trying to look around. They're bobbing their head, their ears are going, you know, the movements that the cat person's making. You get the sense like they really are honing in on like a cat-like creature. I think that that's a meaningful tell about like how much their creative and design part of the studio is working hard on this. I mean, obviously there's work going on everywhere, but their models for the enemies, from what I've seen, and I've played through the Vertical Slice. There is a boss battle. You get to see multiple areas. I believe you go through kind of a village, we'll say, then there's this other kind of swampier area, and then there's this cave system that you kind of walk through, and you finally appear on kind of like an open beach with a lot of water, and there's the boss battle. So you do get a chance to see like multiple types of enemies. You get a taste of the combat, which is nice. That's one area that I would probably say the game needs the most work on, is the combat. Not that it's bad, and again, it's so early on, maybe they're fine-tuning a lot of that, but fighting some of the enemies, even the shielded enemies, seems to be a little bit overpowered, because you can, you know, as long as it does have parries and things like that, as long as you parry one of their attacks and it stuns them, even if they start to cover up and they're blocking, you can still break that pretty easily, and you're just kind of waggling your sword around is what it feels like, and you're killing them. So I would say on the lower end enemies, like the ads and all that stuff, you're not really seeing an engaging combat just yet. The bigger enemies, though, there are these kind of, not mid-bosses, but like larger enemy type, stronger enemies that come in, and they can do a lot of damage, and they're able to stun you pretty quick, and you really have to be on your toes when you're fighting with them. So you do have to do a lot of dodging. You can see your character can kind of dodge out of the way. Double tapping B, for example, will allow you to roll. Just tapping it one time will allow you to quickly jump backwards or forwards or side to side. So you get a varying degree of dodge. You have your parries. There are new armor, or they're not new, but I mean, like, you will find a new armor set, and I expect that there's more armor sets within the game, as well as you have your different types of mechanics for combat. Now, they didn't really showcase weapons and things like that in the Vertical Slice, but they do have it kind of sectioned off within the upgrade tree that you can find when you're at the fountain or the bonfire, and be able to work with your weapons there, upgrading them, choosing them, things like that. Now, there's also magic. Magic is a little bit more powerful in range, so you can kind of stand back. Your magic refills as you're hitting enemies. Right now it does in this model. And you can kind of attack, move away, fire your magic, come back in, take some hits on them, get your magic, you know, built back up, and then you can take more ranged attacks again. So it's kind of a nice combat, and I found like the boss battle was where I used it the most, and it flowed really well. It was pretty easy to transition back and forth. You do have your presets, very similar to other games out there in this genre, and Dark Souls isn't the only game in that type of genre, just as everybody's probably aware. There's many different types. While From Software has done fantastic jobs, and probably most games are inspired by the work that they've done, I think everybody's taking their own, you know, their own like little ideas around what makes it good, and their own flavor, and bringing it to the table, which is great. It's not just this one idea that everybody's going to go on, and that's, you know, part of the fun of seeing new games and new IP come into that genre. You don't see it all that much. It's more of a genre where there is co-op, there is this multiplayer component, but it's not something that's monetized like an MMO is. It's definitely a different model. There's only one other game, Let It Die, that I know has a very similar model, but it's kind of like in a MMO type environment. Not that it's an MMO, but everything's asynchronous, and you can do upgrades, and you can even pay, you know, in-game purchase stuff, things like that. You can buy items to help increase your XP and things like that. So there's not too many of those. There's more along the lines of the single player type of design, and then there's co-op. So one of the things the game Vertical Slice here does not have is the co-op component. I'm not sure if there is going to be co-op. I'm not sure if there's multiplayer or anything of that sort. So taking into consideration all those aspects, they do have the Steam page up. So again, they haven't put the Kickstarter out, they haven't put a demo out or anything, but they do have their Steam page up. So I'm going to be linking to that, and you'll either find it up in the right-hand corner or down below, probably in both. And you can go check out like their information about the game. From there, you can link off and see their studio and their webpage, and I'll find out all the information for yourself. Steam Deck support, obviously, this is more to our heart here on the channel, but Steam Deck support would be a big one. I do have video that I'm showing right now of it running on Steam Deck, but with the caveat, this being the Vertical Slice, it's not even really optimized for PC necessarily. It's there, it runs really well, but I've got a beefier PC to run it. It's not running on bare specs or anything like that, or minimum specs. The Steam Deck the same way, right? Like, they haven't even really probably even started thinking about Steam Deck, let alone like working to optimize it for Steam Deck. But it does run on Steam Deck. That's a good sign right out of the gate. You know, the frame rates are low, but and I do have everything set to low, so it looks a little sparse and barren. But that was just to show that, hey, you know, for the channel and make it relevant, it does run, and it's a game that we'll be talking about in some future episodes where I'm talking about like games that are coming out that we want to see, you know, on Steam Deck. So this is just one of those. And there'll be more episodes like this of different games. But this being the first one for that kind of 5,000 subscriber milestone and adding a new series to the channel, I wanted to make sure that we had a game covered that would really run well and that we could show a little bit on Steam Deck. But again, it's not optimized, so it's not running 60 frames per second. It's 30 to 40, and that's with everything turned low, which I don't think that that's what they would target if they were to put it on a Steam Deck. Obviously, they would want that 60 frames per second. So whether or not they choose to do Steam Deck, that's up to them completely. But it's exciting to see, you know, these types of games, any kind of support being brought out, and hopefully by them, if they see this video, you know, it starts to put that in the back of their head, like, oh, there's a Steam Deck audience, and hey, it's a little bit different than the Steam audience, because I truly believe it is. I believe that Steam Deck has really brought over consumers from the console space that are interested in PC, and it's a nice, easy way to get in. It'll be the same for the ROG, you know, ROG Ally. You know, this portable gaming sector on PC is going to bring in different consumers that are on then that are already on Steam today. So that's going to be one thing that I always try to champion and advocate for with developers is like, hey, if you can, you know, get that Steam support right away. Darkest Dungeon, which we've already looked at, you know, they've done that. They're already talking Steam Deck. They're working hard to get that done with control profiles and everything built in for control support, as well as Steam Deck support to, you know, make the game run the best it can on there. So the more developers that know about it, the better off the games are going to be for Steam Deck and the ROG Ally and things like that. So I hope that we get a chance to look at this game further on in. The owners, Alexis, Tiffany, and Sarah, I hope that they get a chance to see this, or some of their team, let them know. We'd love to have an interview. I'd love to do an interview with them, or one of them, to talk more about the game as it's moving further along. You know, we keep track of it, follow it, and then we see where the games end up, right? That's going to be a big thing within the series. I don't have a name for it yet, but this is kind of the inaugural one that'll go on the channel, and then we'll do more of it. It's not going to be about me, as always. It's more about the games and the developers and the publishers and stuff like that. So we're going to focus on that heavily, but I hope that we do get a chance to see more, and that we can get a little bit more insight from them directly, because this is an interesting game. I like everything about it. I think it's got a great marketing, PR, game design, you know, gameplay mechanic. Everything's kind of lining up for this one. So I'm interested to see where it goes, and, you know, wish them all the best, and hopefully we'll hear more about it in the future. So that's it for this show. But I do hope everybody enjoyed this. Please leave comments, leave either for the game or for the series that you like seeing this type of thing, that you want to see developers come on and talk about their games with us here on the channel. And give the video a like so it gets even more visibility. I mean, this is the idea, is to talk about games now so there can be some kind of, not necessarily influence, but some kind of exposure that, hey, come support Steam Deck and that base of players that's coming on, as well as give them visibility for their game amongst all of you, as well as even wider audiences that will attract as we continue to grow the channel. 5,000, I'm ecstatic about it. I appreciate everybody for subscribing, liking the videos, watching the videos, all the support you give the channel, sharing the videos, and I hope in the future that we can continue to do that. I'm not setting a cap. I want to see the channel grow as big as it can, and we get exposure for indies and for other developers and publishers, and just get those games visible, because there's 100,000 games on Steam from what I can tell, and you put out a game once a year, you've got probably somewhere into the range of 30 to 40 games that you're going to compete with daily that are launching. So, that's, everybody deserves a chance, but we definitely want to be able to talk to developers and, get them to come in and say, here's why you want to buy my game, or here's what I'm doing to make this game really cool that you haven't seen before, or something that's going to be done even better than you've seen before. So that's the main idea around this series, and I do appreciate everybody for supporting the channel, constantly watching this, leaving all the feedback, comments, supporting the polls, doing reading all the posts, and supporting the social media channels and just everything. It's been fantastic. I couldn't have asked for more. It gives me a job, which I really enjoy, and I hope to continue to do this for good. So thank you again, everybody. Have a great evening. We'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.